Okay, everyone, it's time to begin, and we will be starting with Mr. Pringle. So, everyone, join me in welcoming Mr. Jik-Reuben Pringle.
Greetings, blessings, everybody. Nice to be here. Hope we have a great session. Yeah. So you can call me Jik or you can call me Ruben or Pringle, whichever you prefer. Nia, where do you want me to start?
Actually, you can choose probably the visual communication sector. I was seeing that here on.
Okay.
No,
All right. So that's on the eight depth cube.
right.
Okay, cool. All right. All right. So let me start by introducing myself. I don't know if you guys did that already previously, right? I'm sorry. Or I can do that again.
Yeah, man, go ahead. No problem.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm Jik-Reuben. I am a photographer slash filmmaker. I've been doing photography for over 10 years. I personally enjoy capturing moments of beauty and
Okay, guys, I think it froze. One moment, please.
not really sure what has happened. Um, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, you're good to go.
I don't know what happened a while ago. But anyhow, as I was saying, the ADFQs basically they help us to take 2D images and be able to perceive them as three-dimensional images or um, landscapes. Um, from what I know, we have perspective, interposition, size, color, light and dark, texture gradient, and space. Those are the eight different elements that we use in imagery and communication to perceive depth in a photograph. I'll start from perspective. So in an image, it's quite simple. You try to get some form of perspective or leading lines heading to your subject or away from your subject to bring emphasis to your subject. So if I want to give an example, is if I'm in the middle of the road, you can use the sidewalks of the road and have that lead towards me like this, leading me to the subject, which is myself. In front of other objects. So say, for example, I have this water bottle. If it's in front of me, blocking me, you can tell that there is distance between the water bottle and myself. If you guys have any questions, you can always use the raise hand option on Zoom to let me know if you have any questions. And that's pretty much what interposition is using objects that overlap to assign a difference between foreground, midground, and background to give depth. The next one for me is size. So using objects in your frame that people readily know the size of it already. So, for example, people have an idea of how big a cow is. So if you have several cows in a photograph and you have one cow at the front and one cow at the back, you have an idea that if the cow at the back is significantly smaller than the cow at the front, that there is definitely a significant amount of space between them, which automatically your mind perceives as depth, which may now translate this image from being a flat surface to a three-dimensional space. The next one is color. And this one is a little bit tricky to understand, but pretty much when you have color which works in tandem with light, lighting or light and shadow, when you see a variation in that color in the shot, then you can tell that that object is either spherical or cuboid or whatever, and the light is hitting it from a different angle, casting a shadow, which then adds different hues of colors in the situation. Lighting is the same. If you have, let's see, what's a good example? If you have the light coming from this side here, it's kind of hard. You have the light coming from this side, and you have shadow here. The shadow casted here shows that there is actually a depth in the, so there's a distance between where my nose is, the tip of my nose, to where my cheek begins, because there's a shadow casted there. And the shadow can only be cast when you have a light hitting a surface, and that negative space is then filled with the shadow. We have texture gradient. So say, for example, you have a photo of a cityscape, right? Now, where gradient comes in is the closer an object is to the camera. So, for example, my hand is the closest thing to the camera right now. You're seeing more details and texture than you're seeing texture in my face, and that's a good way to tell perception, for your mind to perceive depth in an image. So having items that different natural, just looking at the image and seeing time of day. So say for example, it's 3 p.m. The light at 3 p.m. is going to be different than the light at 5 in the morning, and that's another way of doing that perception. And then the final thing is a space. What's in the frame, or what you use to frame the objects in your image. So say for example, we are photographing someone and there is, you can use the door frame, or even I can use my hands actually right now and just frame that person out. And that is adding depth and giving context to your images. Move on to how I use pretty much what I do for a living and what I do in my spare time for my personal projects. So a little backstory again on me. In my spare time, I like to use photography to advocate and to inspire and empower people, especially people with certain social so how I go about, so the step by step process for me is always finding out what I'm talking about. And the person that came to me that I featured, her name is Sanchige, she has a disease called, or a condition called oxygen imperfecta. And so when she came to me, she's like, hey, Jik, I've seen you do other stuff and I want you to tell my story. And she told me what she had, and I didn't have a clue what it was. So the first step for me is to get familiar with the information and the condition. And once I have an idea of that, the next step for me is getting to know the persons I'm featuring. And so this can range from asking simple personal questions like, where you went to school, what do you do for fun, what's your favorite number, any random questions that I think will garner some insight on who this person is, what they do, like what school you went to. That you might question why does the school that a person goes to affect how images will come out. It actually does affect that because it gives an idea of how that person probably navigated school. Because then you can ask, what kind of student were you? Were you the quiet type? Were you the one that was always at the front of the class with the loudest mouth? Those type of things. And then from there, I go into the conceptual stage, and I start curating visuals in my head based on the backstory and also what the condition is. Okay. And then it's building the team. So once I have the concept, I run it by the person I'm featuring in the campaign. And if that person is okay, then I'm building a team. And my team varies project to project because I want the right people that fit the mold that I have. So I have makeup artists that I work with all the time, but I might choose to work with a specific makeup artist I've never worked with before because I think that either her or his work, benefits the project more than someone else I've used before. Same for if I decide that if I want to do the video or if I don't want to do the video for this project, or if I think I need a creative director to help me execute the vision, or if I need a stylist and hairstylist, that type of stuff, I build a team. From building a team is then logistics. So we move from selecting a date, finding what we need. So if we're building a set or we need props, I'm looking out for people who can help me out with that. Because of these things are personal projects, I tend to try not to spend as minimum as possible out of my pocket. So I look for sponsorship. So I'll reach out to different people. I reach out to beverage companies for refreshments. I reach out to food companies. I reach out to studio spaces. I reach out to different people who are willing to collaborate and assist on the vision that I have in mind. And when I reach out to them, I don't just reach out to them like calling them. I actually have a full document put together. So I have a proposal. I have the concept, I have the team members, I have what they plan to get in return if they actually help us out. So I have X amount of followers, and between all the persons on the team, we have X amount of followers. We plan to put it in the press and stuff like that. So you have to be able to pitch to people, basically sell the project to them, and for them to come on board. Because at the end of the day, people who want sponsors want to make sure that if they give you something, it is benefiting their company as well. So you have to be able to put it in a way that they see benefit in, even if the project itself is like, um, why wouldn't you want to be a part of an awareness project? Unfortunately, not all companies have that level of, what's the word I want to use? Most companies just don't care. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to hit them in that soft spot and hit them where the money counts as well. Because most companies only see the dollar sign. You see me? So anyhow, moving from there, we get the sponsors, we have the team, we have the collaborators, we have the persons, we have everything on set. It's production day. I'm usually very like structured. And in my more recent project that I'm working on right now, I had a producer. And that producer, she was the one that organized everything. She was the one that was calling all the people, making sure that they were on time, making sure that the talent was on time, and that the needs were satisfied. So um, things like knowing their dietary restrictions and stuff like that. Food is also provided on my set when I can, and if the budget allows. And then yeah, just ensuring that the day runs smoothly. We start on time, we end on time. We take breaks in between. Everybody's drinking water, and the photography team is good, the video team is good, makeup team is good. Uh, yeah, I think, let me see if I can find, yeah, I'm going to try and find some photos to show you guys. Nia, am I allowed to share screen on this?
Yeah, you can go ahead. Let me see if I'm able to make you a co-host. Give it a try and let me know.
Okay, one second. I'm going to screen up first. Oh, actually, internet is really bad, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, all right, I have it. Oh, no, I think I can share screen. How do I do this again? Share screen. Okay, all right, let me know if you see my screen.
Yeah, man, we can see.
All right, great. So this is the project I was talking to you about that I released in 2019. And so this is an image of Sanchige. And we did two set of images with her. We did some lifestyle outdoor type stuff with her, by emancipation. Found out that she loves to go to Emancipation Park and just relax and clear her mind. So I thought it to be important to share that aspect of her as well. So we did some shots there out by Emancipation Park, got her all dolled, and then moving on. Yeah, so as I said, like I come up with the concept. So in this state, in this particular project, I came up with three particular looks that I wanted to execute, meaning that I had to build a set, bring a team together to build a set and materialize my vision. Um, because osteogenesis imperfecta is a bone-related condition, I like the idea of having X-rays came to me, especially her X-ray. So if you look in the center here, this is actually her X-ray. So you can see all the bone breaks that she has and all the rods that she has in her body to keep her upright and be able to continue walking normally. And so I think for my work, it didn't happen. I didn't do it on purpose, but I realized it's something that happens is that my work tends to follow a rise. So usually there is a problem, which is in this case, Sanchike, she has osteogenesis imperfecta, and I wanted to express that correlation between her condition and how she felt growing up, which was she felt weak, she felt little, she felt unempowered, marginalized. And so that's what you're feeling with these images here. And then usually my images go through a process of acceptance. And so we go through the second stage here, where it's her accepting who she is. And if you notice before, the x-rays were behind her. Now the x-rays have fallen down on the ground and she's on top of them. The bones are also surrounding her. And from there, she's also holding flowers. And I like the idea of showing her scars because now before she was hiding everything. She was afraid to show them. Now she's proud of who she is and she's not afraid to show her scars. And now she's standing upright or more upright than before. And then we move to the stage what we call the rising and the resilience, where she's now blossomed from a pond. So before the X-rays were just falling X-rays, and then in these images we turn the X-rays into a water source, and the lilies are coming from that water source. And the lotus is actually her favorite flower, and I wanted to incorporate that in the photo shoot. And so I asked a friend of mine to create a scaled version of a lotus that she could stand inside of. So she basically blossoming from the lotus. And you can see the confidence that is exuded now. So yeah, that's pretty much how it is for me. Then after that is the hard part for me. After the actual production, there is pre-production, and then after pre-production is releasing it. Now, pre-production into releasing it, that's the hard part because I hate editing, but it has to be done. And so I go through the process of selecting the images, the best images that I can actually stop sharing somehow. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so we go through the process of selecting the best images that reflect what the narrative that we want to share. Oh, I just seen the comments. Thank you guys. Oh, I appreciate you guys. I'm just really seeing the comments. Yeah. Um, yeah, you go through the process of selecting images that best represent the person that we're photographing and that will best convey the message to the audience. And then from there is the campaigning aspect of it. So where are we putting it? What's the words that's going to complement it? What you were seeing actually was actually my blog post. So if you go on my website, I'll type my website out, www.jik-reubenvisuals.com. You go to the blog section, you can see the actual article, well, articles because it's two different ones. One is about the photos, and one is about the documentary, and you can read it at your own time. But the primary space on me is my Instagram and my website in the blog section, and then we do press media. So we run it on TV, run it on radio, run it on newspaper, online articles. So this particular project, we had it on international press, local press. I was able to do radio interviews, um, TV interview, and print. And I think what made this project so successful is that after, I think, a month of releasing the project, I got a phone call from someone and she was like, "Hi, is this Jik-Reuben?" I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "Hi, I'm so and so. And I saw you did a project that on a young lady that has had osteogenesis or has osteogenesis imperfecta. And I also have osteogenesis imperfecta. And I always thought that I was the only person in Jamaica that had osteogenesis imperfecta. And so what me deciding to do this project and bringing awareness to to this condition was I had the ability to actually connect people who also had the condition and felt like maybe they were alone out there in Jamaica because it's a very rare bone disease. And so now I've had this, and this lady's like maybe 50, in her 50s or 60s. So she has been living for 50 to 60 years in Jamaica, thinking that she was the only person that had this condition. She knew of people outside of Jamaica, but she thought she was the only person in Jamaica alone with this condition. And so now, because I did this project, there is no people can come connected and create a community and have discussions and discourse and share, like so for example, she's 50, she can share with Sanchige things that she had to go through that maybe Sanchige don't have to go through because now she has this older person that can share information and wisdom with her. And that's the beauty of using photography to send messages on a and that's on a personal level. On a client level now, yeah, on a client level, I always try to share um, a piece of who my clients are in my photographs as well. So I go through the same process. I sit down with my clients. Yeah, well, no, it's kind of online, but usually I sit down with my clients, have a cup of tea or coffee, and we're talking for a minute before we even talk about well, we talk about all the important stuff, how much money it costs, what's in the package and the dates and whatever. After that, we actually sit down and we talk about, what is this person like, what they love to do, and then we sit down and create a concept that matches how they're feeling, what they want to portray. And I find that that happens the most when I'm doing my birthday photo shoots. And I find that the type of clientele that come to me for birthday photo shoots are the ones that want to move away from the swimsuits and the balloons. And nothing is wrong with those images, but they want to express usually something more. They want to express some form of blossoming or growth or independence or whatever it is. And I feel like I've been able to achieve exactly what the clients want because I'm open to listening to them and I don't try to impose my what's the word I want to use? My opinions really on them, you know. So I listen to them, hear what they have to say, ask the right questions, and then I create them in mind, not what I want or whatever aesthetic I have. I don't necessarily do that. Actually, earlier today, someone asked me if I had a particular style of editing, and my answer to that is actually no, because each job for me is specific to the client. You know, I am looking on pleasing the client, not pleasing myself. Yes, there is some level of pleasure, but my pleasure comes through pleasing the client. You know what I mean? It's people centric. Thank you, Kyle. Respect. And Marisha. 2 minutes left. Okay, cool. I think that's pretty much it for that. I think I'll roughly go into networking real quick and how important networking is and how networking got me to where I am now. So I was in university and I remember there was a conference being held over by you. I went to UTech and Gary Matalan was there. Gary Matalan is one of the owners of Kaylee, which they manage Traction Records. And so I've always wanted to work for Traction Records. And I remember he was there and I was in university, I never looked good. I never, it wasn't about talking to Gary Matalan and making sure that I had an opportunity to work for Traction Records. Long story short, after the conference, they had a breakout session where you could come and talk. And I went up to him, I was like, hi, very nervous because I'm not good at talking to people, at least back then. And I was like, hi, my name is Jik-Reuben. I'm a concert photographer and I want to work for Traction Records when you guys have behind the screen. And I showed him my page and I spoke to him and he was very impressed. And he was like, we actually have a photographer, but I would actually want you to talk to my marketing manager. And he called, the marketing manager happened to be there and he called his marketing manager over and introduced us. And I ended up working for Traction Records for 2 years. That was one of my biggest contracts at the time. This was 2013, no, 2012 to 2013, yeah. And yeah, so that was just me taking initiative, going out, coming out of my comfort zone to reach out to this man that I thought I would never be able to, you know, talk to, or he would never care to listen to me. But I took the initiative, went out there, networked with him, pitched my ideas to him, and he was receptive. That's not always the case, but nothing beats a try for me. And I think that's the take home I want you guys to leave with is that nothing is never too far out of your reach, and nothing is wrong with failure. So if you failed, just go back to the drawing board or try again if you think that the procedure was right and maybe this wasn't the right timing. Try again, and you never know what will happen. You never know who you might get in contact with and how far you can reach in this field. That's it for me. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you so much. That was very insightful, really amazing. As a fellow photographer, it was nice to hear from you. I now open the floor to any questions that the viewers may have. I think I
No
saw.
question.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah. What was the 8 things for creating depth in a photo?
Oh, the 8 depth cues. You want me to remind you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll actually type it out in the group.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, whoops. Is there a way to enter this?
Marisha, please forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but go ahead.
All right, that's okay. That's exactly how it's pronounced. Mine is not really a question, but it's more of a comment. Like I'm very new to this whole photography aspect, and I'm really looking forward to this with creativity. I'm one who is passionate about just art and creativity, writing, and all of that. good stuff, right?
Mhm.
And just hearing from you as a young person, it really inspired me to just really look into myself and to say, hey, you have all that you need within. You just need to express it, and while expressing it, don't forget people. And that's what stood out for me in your whole journey and presentation.
Definitely, for sure, for sure, for sure. Like you do have everything that you need within you. It's just for you to find it. And there is some level of luck as well that comes into play, but it all starts inside first. You can't expect to get everything in the world without even trying first, you know? So don't sit down and expect things to happen. Some people might happen, but everybody. That's not necessarily your story. And of course, people exist. So remember that. You know what I mean? When it comes down to how do you build discipline? Okay. When it comes down to building a business, remember to be professional. You know what I mean? So that means being on time and being on. If you have a job at 8 o'clock, if you reach at 8 o'clock, you're not on time. That you're actually late. You know what I mean? Because you never know what can happen on the road. You could be on your way and in transit, something happens to your car. You know what I mean? So keep communication open with the clients, be on time, dress appropriately, talk appropriately, build a brand around, people and I don't want to say people, pleasing people, but, just be a sensible person, I think I saw a question here. How did you build discipline and confidence in your work? Honestly, confidence was never really my thing, especially when I just started. I think because I was a very shy person prior to starting photography, but I think the medium kind of forced me to be confident because to achieve certain things, you have to be confident. And so I knew I wanted to achieve certain things and I knew I had to do certain things. And the only way to do it was just to, get on my things and get up and move for it. You know what I mean? Discipline takes time. Confidence, it takes time. So that step that I made to Gary Mathans wasn't overnight. That wasn't something that I was like, ah, yeah, I can just get up and do this tomorrow. No, I was very nervous. And as I said, it wasn't something that I was accustomed to just talking to people like that. But because of what I was doing, I started out doing events. And when you do event photography, you have to ask people for pictures. And just that process of constantly asking people, hey, can I get your photo? Hey, can I get your photo? Eventually pulled me further and further out of my shell to the level where I could actually be like, hi, Gary Matalon, I'm Jik-Reuben. I would love to work for your company. Or in other situations, hi, my name is Jik-Reuben. My service would benefit your business because of X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty much how I got to the place I'm at right now. It's just it's a gradual process, words of affirmation help. So telling yourself that you are enough, because there are many times, so many times on this journey of mine, I thought I was never good enough. And I had to be like, who are you? Remember your name. Like you're Jik-Reuben. You are who you are. You're good enough to impress anybody. You're good enough for yourself. You see me? So that's where it starts. Words of affirmation. Get up every morning. If you're somebody who suffers from anxiety, suffer from depression, put up those sticky notes in front of your mirror. Look at yourself and say, you are beautiful, you are great, you are gonna achieve great things. And that's the only way you can do it. If you sit down, yeah, and you also have to get yourself out of the ego as well. Like you have to come out of that ego. And the ego is not meaning you're hype. No. That is only one aspect of the ego. The ego also controls your anxiety, your ego controls depression, your ego controls a lot of things, you know what I mean? So self-doubt is a product of your ego, you know what I mean? So step out of your ego and just be present, and eventually you get to a place where confidence is not an issue. You get to a place where you find that you are well thought after in terms of in the industry for people to use, So keep the move. Don't stop. Any other questions?
Completely agree with everything you just said. That is so, so, so true. Anyone else? Last set of questions.
Oh, oops, sorry. I'm not gonna forget. I'm gonna definitely send that to your card before I come off the chat though. I just need time to type it up.
Cool. That's it for question, guys. Don't be shy. Oh, I actually have a question for anyone that wants to reach out to you, work and probably collaborating. How can they contact you?
Okay, so if you want to reach out to me, you can hit me up on Instagram. You can email me. So that's easier to type. So you can email me at jik-reubenphotos@gmail.com, or you can get me on Instagram or LinkedIn at Jik-Reuben, or you can WhatsApp me at 582-1860. Currently, right now, I'm not really looking for anybody to work with. I already have like 2 persons I'm working with right now that just started, but I am not against sharing information. So if you want to bounce something off of me, you want advice on how to price, on how to talk to your clients, anything like that, feel free. Call me, text me, Instagram, DM me, email me. I am not opposed to that at all. Like I believe in building community, and the only way we can build a community is through communication.
Awesome. Thank you very much again for coming to present to us. I'm sure we all took something from this. I know I definitely did.
I hope so.
To working with you again in the future one day.
Definitely. I'm very happy that you guys thought of inviting me here. It was definitely a great experience, a good experience, and I look forward to you guys reaching out and me communicating with you guys in the future.
Awesome. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll now be handing over to Mr. Clarke.
Oh, Mr. Clarke, big up yourself. I forgot to say that.
Get this up too, bro. Really appreciated the input. Definitely gave me some things to think about.
Great, great. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. I'm gonna stick around for a bit.
Okay, cool.
Take it over.
Everybody hearing me?
Yep, good to go.
Okay. Afternoon, everybody. Very close to the camera. Afternoon, everybody. Well, as I said before, my name is Keenan Clarke. I'm a photographer. Been doing it for about 3 years, and I'm going to be looking at I'm going to be looking at, for persons who are trying to get into photography, some of the suggestions that I have, as well as some of the equipment that you're going to need that I didn't know that I was going to need when I started, as well as how to stay inspired and how I personally stay inspired as a creative. I'm not only just as a photographer, because I dabble in other mediums outside of photography, as I am a poet, and I'm dabbling in videography and graphic design at the current moment. So I am going to share my screen soon, and we're going to just go through a little PowerPoint, and then you can answer me any questions as we go through. Everybody's hearing me, right? I'm not too low, so I need to know if I need to project or what's not. I guess so. All right, cool. All right, give me 1 sec. I'm just going to pull up the PowerPoint. All right, so photography. My honestly one of my favorite things in the world. But before we actually get into photography and the things that we want to discuss this evening in terms of getting started as a photographer, tools to get started, and I'm getting inspiration, how do we define photography? What is photography? As you can see, as some very smart guys said, photography is the art of capturing light. If you don't have light, you technically really can't capture a photograph. It's the same way. Because photography is easily likened to your eye. A lot of the examples and so on I'm going to draw are similar to your eye. The same way because your camera and the eye behave similarly, as in they were sort of modeled after each other. So what do you think is the first thing you need? And you can write it in the chat, or you can open your mic. What do you think is the first thing you need if you want to do photography? Like anybody? Anybody? Um,
I'm seeing your eyes, interest, passion, camera. Keep them coming, guys.
Camera, interest, eyes, passion. Okay, I think those are really good. Let me see what else anybody else is saying. Interest, passion. Okay, those I can agree with. For me personally, and that's why I put it in white, the one thing you need is the willingness to learn. One of the things that I have to learn very quickly is the fact that I do not know everything. I have been doing photography for 3 going on 4 years now, and I don't know everything. I am always willing to try to learn from persons, to try to learn from persons who are better than I am, persons who are outliers in the field, people who creatively challenge me. Recently, up to 2 or 3 weeks ago, I reached out to one of my favorite personal photographers, and I told him, you're a benchmark for me, that you're where I'm trying to get in terms of my skill and my craft. And he said, thank you, I really appreciate that, and that you had a good eye. And as your favorite photographer, somebody that you look up to telling you, like, wow, like you're doing a really good job, it really, really helps you to continue. So the one thing outside of the basics I have here and all the other stuff that I'm going to tell you, being willing to learn and understanding that no matter what you do, there's always something that you can come up with, and there's always something that you can do, and there's always something you can learn for other people. It's in my opinion, the basis of photography, because we're all creatives, we're all trying to learn, and that's what I love communicating and promoting creatives, because we're all at different parts in our journey. So outside of being willing to learn, I absolutely would encourage you, if you have not, to brush up on your basics. And even if you're really good, you've been doing it for a while, to continually go back to your basics, your things like ISO, your aperture, your shutter speed, your composition techniques. If you don't know, you could ask me in the chat. I would try to delve into them a little bit to give you a basic understanding, because obviously we don't have a lot of time and I don't want to bore you. But the basics are super, super important. I can't tell you how many times I have personally missed really amazing shots, especially because I don't shoot in a lot of controlled environments. I do a lot of outside shoots, and outside is very dynamic. And I've lost a lot of shots because I just blanked on maybe correcting the ISO, or maybe the shutter speed, or I never, I didn't use the white balance and all kind of thing. It wasn't composed properly, and then I had to spend more time in post-production trying to fix something that I should have already had done from the beginning. So the basics will never fail, really and truthfully. So we come to the last two now, which is patience and amuse. Patience, similar to being willing, is similar enticing to willing to learn. Especially when it comes to me, most persons are very surprised when I tell them that I personally do not own a camera of my own. They're just like, how are you a photographer and you don't own a camera? And I'm just like, it's just what it is. It's just what it is. I have cameras that I borrow and I rent and so on and so forth, because I'm intent on not allowing my current situation to stop me from pursuing my craft and what I love. But patience also within the fact that, hey, you aren't going to know everything. You aren't going to just all of a sudden put out one piece of work and you become this super recognized name and make a make a job because we all want that. We all want to have that one photo that everybody just wants to shoot with us, and we get all the money and so on and so forth. And it takes time. I have been doing this for 3 years. I really started making money from photography late last year. Like, that's when I first started, and I've been practicing, I had been shooting, I had been posting to my page, and only last year did I start to make money from it. So I'm telling you guys, like, patience is a definite key in this photography business and in being a creative in general. Rome wasn't built in a day. I would also suggest having a muse, or having something that inspires you. For instance, my friends are my muse. So I just randomly grab one of my friends and say, hey, I want to do a shoot with you. We come up with a concept and it keeps me sharp. So instead of saying, okay, like I just want to go outside and nothing's wrong with that, but putting yourself in a situation where you have to creatively think outside of the box, by the box that you're in, was really going to help you develop your skills, your directing, and just generally just have fun. And plus, boost your friends' Instagram with a couple pictures, but make sure them tag it so that people, see it, because that's one of my personal pet peeves. People that get photos from me or somebody else and then they don't tag me. I mean, that's some of the only promotion that I'm going to get. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. But all right, so we're gonna move on to some tools that I think you're going to need and some stuff that I didn't know that I need. First of all, I did not learn photography on a camera. My instructor taught me the basis of photography on my very old, not even this phone, my very old Samsung HTC phone. And he said, you just need to learn the basics. So if you don't have all the money, like me, to really get like a professional cam at the moment, you can always brush up on your basics or just take amazing photos regardless using your phone, and then have software stuff like Snapseed and InstaSize that will really help you get the most out of the photos. And once you're following the basics, some people probably won't be able to tell the difference. Well, I would be able to tell the difference, but most people won't be able to tell the difference. Really, really and truly. And I agree, it's not what you have, it's how you use it. I really think you're a photographer. I'm telling you. My instructor taught me on an iPhone, on my regular phone. And if you look back on my page, like a lot of the old stuff on my page, like the videos and stuff that I used to do, I shot those with my phone. I didn't use any fancy software. I didn't have access to Photoshop or Premiere or anything like that. It was just wanting to use what I had and creatively step out of the box, as I was saying before. If you do have money though, and you want to get a camera, I would suggest buying a mid-tier camera and not just a starter camera, because after you've mastered photography, there are going to be certain things that you want to do, certain angles, certain shutter speeds and stuff that you're going to want to use to get the pictures that you want. But with a basic camera, there's only a limited range that they will have. So I'd suggest, for me, if you're starting, the Nikon D3400, that is a pretty good mid-tier camera. And if you want something a little more user-friendly, I found that Canons are very user-friendly. The T5 is what I use for a good portion of my beginning. A computer. Most people don't think about this, that you actually need a computer for photography, but you do. You really need a computer with like some good specs to really get your point, but to really do your work properly. I worked on a computer for the majority of last year. That was slow. And you can imagine trying to edit in Lightroom or Photoshop and, a photo taking maybe an hour and a half to, export after you spent almost 2 to 3 hours working on it. So I have some of the list there, some of the stuff that I would suggest for getting a computer, but obviously if you can't, then there are lots of workarounds for that. But I would say, for instance, work on, look at the requirements for the programs so that you don't, overburden your computer. I'd also suggest getting an external hard drive. This is my entire life. I have everything that I have ever shot on this, and this is legitimately it's 2 terabytes, which is essentially the space of like 2 computers. There are computers that have less space than this, and if you're really into I need to invest in a backup drive. I do. But like for me personally, if you don't have one of these and you really want to get into photography, you need one of these. You really, really do. All right. So we're going right along. So we're getting to my favorite part now. How do we stay inspired? How do I stay inspired? How do you stay inspired? Inspiration is weird. And my base takeaway, even though it's going to cut into my points a little bit, is don't depend solely on inspiration. And that seems very counterintuitive what I'm about to say, and to the other points that I have. But I'll get back to that after a while. So how do I get inspired? One, from life. Sometimes life is very unfair. Sometimes there are situations that I cannot control. And for me personally, a lot of the concepts and stuff that I draw usually come from real life. So I'll show you so many pictures and I'll explain them. But from real life, like there are many photos that I take that are genuinely come straight from my head, and I'm just like, I need to express this in a way, because if I don't put this out, I'm going to explode. Because that's how photography is for me. It's legitimately a medium for me to breathe. Also, surround yourself with people that inspire you and push you to do better. I have many creative friends, and sometimes I'll send them something, I'll send them an image, and I'm like, and they'll tell me, hey, I think you could do better than this. Maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that, maybe we should work on something else. And those persons, they really push me, and they say, and they really inspire me. What I would caution though is being careful about following persons that you really, really like and comparing yourselves to them. This is something that I sometimes fall into the trap with. I have persons that I admire, and then I'm just like, my work is nowhere as good as these guys. Like I can't. I should just read. Like I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure at least one person in here has had that idea. Especially if you post to Instagram, it's just like, all right, I'm just gonna delete everything, delete my page, and just go, back to just being in a corner. And imposter syndrome is crazy. But I think what you need to believe, first of all, you need to really no. To really believe in yourself, the work you put out, and as I said, be patient with the fact that even as 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 amazing as their work is, they didn't get there in the beginning. And definitely, as Pringle was saying, it's really a process. You really have to trust the time, trust yourself, and allow yourself to grow. It happens. Like, we're human beings. Sometimes you just don't like anything that you create, and then other times you're like, "Whoa, I made that. I really did. I really did." So yeah, stick with people that inspire you. I have many people that inspire me, and they're the reason that I actually um, they're the reason I actually create as much as I do. Okay, so I see a question. What would you suggest for someone who doesn't exactly know how to get past a hurdle like that? I would say just create. I would just say create. Like, create and create and create and create. That's for me how I got over it. I stopped thinking so much about how other people were going to receive my work, in a sense, and I started saying, I like this, I appreciate this, and I'm going to post it. And even if they don't like it, it's for me. And I have a friend of mine, and she told me, if you have something that you want, that you believe that you need to share with the world, it's an act of violence of you to not release it. So I'm telling you, if you have something that you believe that you need to share, you're not helping anybody by keeping it to yourself. And I believe that you can continually improve, as Ruben was saying, you can continually improve, but if you don't try, you're not going to get any better than you actually are. And it's hard. It's hard. I won't say it's easy, but I think just give yourself the freedom and the space that everything that you make doesn't have to be a masterpiece. I've made stuff. I've made a million pieces. It feels like, and there are very few pieces on my page, because everything is not for public consumption. Sometimes I think we forget that art is for us and not just to be monetized. So yeah, that's what I answered to that question. And when I was saying inspiration is not always important, it's not always important. I believe honestly that consistency is more important than inspiration. There are times that I honestly do not feel inspired to go and take any picture, any photo. I don't want to do anything creative. And it's the discipline that I know that this is something that I love, and this is a craft that I have to exercise, just like how I want to exercise a muscle, that I have to take up myself and work and go from there. And that's what I think. I think a lot of creatives, like, you just, like, because we have our moods. It's like, I don't really feel like editing today. I don't feel like editing today. I don't feel like taking pictures today. I don't feel like doing anything today. But being consistent and understanding, hey, you really need to continually chip at it, even if it is just a little bit. It will add up in the time. So for instance, I'm gonna look at this. This picture. So this is like the different tiers of inspiration that I'm talking about. So this picture, I took this picture, had just been starting to kick, and my friend and I, we were feeling very trapped, and we just wanted to go outside. And from the feeling of from being trapped and being isolated, we took this picture on campus. with just the motive, or we just wanted to be free, we just wanted to be outside, and wanted to breathe. And that's where the inspiration for this picture came from. So from actual life, we were actually drawing inspiration. And I find that the best pictures, the pictures that I enjoy the most, are the ones that have some tether to real life. Right? So surround yourself with people that inspire you. These people inspire me. They just randomly picked me up from my house. I was like, hey, let's go and do a shoot. And some of my favorite pictures of last year were taken here. And I'll show this one now. This is a mixture. This is double exposure. And this is basically from this picture. I took this picture I'm from Barbados, by the way. And this picture is the middle of, it's called Bridgetown. It's the middle of Bridgetown. And this is my trainee. This is my little trainee. Her name is Amanda. And this picture literally came about because I felt like I needed to somehow communicate how I was feeling about not being able to return home for the year. And the same way, life, but also consistency, because had I never practiced, I would have never been able to do a technique like this. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's a mixture of knowing when it's time to, maybe step back and take a break, but also knowing when it's time to be consistent and continually chip at something until you finish. So coming to the end now, I'll just leave you with this quote. Remember that mastery is not that mastery is a marathon and not a sprint. I said that. I think that was kind of deep. So yeah, any questions, anything you want to ask me, that's the end of my presentation. Boy, okay.
I just add, I think your presentation was really well done. I left your presentation feeling inspired and re-inspired, I should say. You brought home some really good points, especially for beginners. Sir, please forget about the hard drive.
I will. Let's see next thing I'm gonna buy.
I've been there and I've lost photos and I cried. So please, if it's even to back up like the final edit up to like Google Drive or whatever, do that. Yeah, good job. I look forward to the day you get your
Thank you.
camera and you're taking bigger. Great presentation.
I appreciate that, bro. See a question. Do you recommend storing raw files or just the edited photos on the drive? Personally, I have both. Because as I have both. But though I usually separate my edited photos from the thing, but I still keep the Photoshop files for later on because hold on, I think I'm gonna share out my screen in a second. Like I was legitimately just working on some stuff. Like this is an edit. But like the pieces are all done. It's not finished necessarily as yet. I was just like kind of messing around with some stuff. But I still have each of the files, so that if I want to go in and make an adjustment at either one of these stages, I could do that. So I feel like it's better to have both of them just in case.
Keenan, IR has a question.
Pardon?
Yeah, I wanted to know what are some creatives that you probably like watch or followed on YouTube. So like, yeah.
Okay. On YouTube, well, I follow most of my persons on Instagram. I could probably link some of them, but my favorite photographer, the one that I reached out to, his name on Instagram is Devenir Deborah. He's based in Barbados. He's really, 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 really good. For me, YouTube, I like Mango Street on YouTube. Their page is really, really nice. They give me like a lot of ideas on how to persons, how to pose people, which is something that I really struggle with. So you can of them in the chat afterwards. Just give me a second. So if you have any more questions, just let me know. Or I could just, shut up and go away now.
Thank you so much, Keenan. It was very insightful, and I love what you had to say. I could actually relate to a lot of what you said. To be honest, I just started saving up properly, like properly started saving for my own camera because I actually do rent and borrow as well. So I could definitely relate to that. Oh, someone is asking what's your Instagram. You're muted.
Okay, chat. I didn't before, but I'm gonna put it again.
Good.
And also, if you have any other questions about photography, or like if you want to collab, I'm always down to collab and work with people. So like if you want to collab or you want to work, like just like message me on Instagram. I'm always on Instagram. It's a really bad habit, but yeah. So like
Yeah,
shout
Amanda said
me.
she wants
I'm
to
always willing to
collab.
work. Amanda Shush.
Nice. Yeah, she wants to collab. That's nice.
Yeah, I think that's it for me. So yeah, as I said, if there's anybody that wants to reach out to me, my Instagram is there, and yeah, I'm always around. I'm always willing to have conversations with fellow creatives and so on. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Any questions for Keenan and Jik before they leave, guys? Are you in the camera club group? Cameron is asking if you're in the camera club group.
Yes, I am. I got added recently. I think. I think UE Camera Club. If it's UE Camera Club, yeah, I got added to it recently.
Okay, cool. What would you say is your favorite type of photography?
Oh, okay. That is hard. That is hard.
Is that for both of us or just him?
Yeah, I'm asking both of you.
All right, you first, Keenan.
I like portrait photography. Though I really love silhouettes. Like silhouettes is something that I really, 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 really love to do.
Yeah.
But portrait photography is one of my favorites. I just love being able to see like the details and stuff in person's faces and stuff like that. That's my favorite style.
Jik, and you?
You hearing me? Because my connection is really bad.
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Okay, cool. For me, I'm in two worlds. I love concert photography and I also love portraits. Um, yeah, I love both. But in more recent times, I've been shooting a lot on film and not so much on digital. Unless it's for work-related stuff, then I'll definitely shoot some digital. But for personal purposes, I've been shooting a lot of film and I've been shooting outside of my realm as well. I've been shooting, a lot of everyday things, landscapes and um, whatever catches my eye. It's like, I think for me, shooting on film nowadays is like me retraining myself. It kind of reminds me of when I just started photography, where, there's that time when you're shooting every and everything, every lizard that you see, every fruit that you see, you know, every homeless person or whatever it is. What film camera do I use? I have about three. Um, One is a Nikon F4, one is a Canon A1, and the other is Yashica something. I don't know what it is to be honest, but it's a Yashica. Yeah.
Okay, great. Anyone else with any more questions for these gentlemen?
Is any brand better for video versus
Right.
photography?
That's a good question.
I feel like questions like that, when people ask me that, the first thing I ask is what's your budget? Because your budget really stipulates the quality as well. So, for example, if your budget is $2,000, I feel like Sony, Canon, they can both satisfy you very well. If you're on the low end side of the budget spectrum, I feel like Sony's out of your pocket and you have to go Canon. If you're doing video, this is for photography, Canon, because it's cheaper than the Sony's. Nikon, is there any brand better for video or photography? Nikon does pretty well. Their new mirrorless cameras are very good for video and for pictures. But if it's strictly video and you're using a DSLR, I would go either Sony, or if you could look into what Panasonic is doing with their Micro Four Third cameras. Those are really good as well for video. So it really depends. There's a lot of factors that you have to take into consideration when thinking of a particular brand. There's even things as how you like your skin tones to look. So for example, Sony, it tends to make your skin look a little bit on the purple side, whereas Canon tends to make your skin go on the red side, and Nikon tends to make your skin go on the green side. So it really is a preference thing. So you have to do like quite a bit of research to find what camera really suits your needs and your budget.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. Any more going once? Okay, it seems like everyone got all the information they needed, and thank you guys for coming out again.
There's a question by Chevelle. Let's answer this real quick.
Oh yes, sure, go ahead.
Any tips for new people shooting with film? Take it back to basics. Have a full understanding of how ISO, aperture, and shutter speed works. Um, when you're shooting digital, you're taught that you underexpose to preserve your highlights. With film, it's the other way around. You shoot overexposed because film doesn't save shadow details very well. So if you underexpose an image and you try it in post, when you're actually developing the film, you try to bring the shadows up, you won't get any information. So it's always better to overexpose the film by a stop or two, and then in post-production, you can always bring down the highlights and you still get back your sky, but you will never get back your shadows. Film is expensive, so shoot wisely. When I started shooting film seriously, I used to force myself to um, get a shoot done with only one roll, and each frame needs to be a different pose or a different scene. I never repeated scenes on film because it's so expensive. I don't have the luxury like what digital gives you of being able to shoot 10,000 images at no cost. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for the questions.
All right. I believe I can speak behalf on everyone here that it was an amazing session. And I thank you both so much for coming and sharing with us again. It was an amazing session. And I do look forward to rewatching and learning and putting it to use also.
Thank you so much. I had a great time.
Thank you. I really did. I really appreciate it. I always love sharing spaces with creatives, and I hope we have more stuff like this.
Definitely agree.
Yes, for sure. And I see that you guys left your contacts and your Instagram pages. Guys, please feel free to reach out to them because they're willing to share. And you can also reach out to me on my personal page or my photography page. Just send it in the chat and I'll be willing to answer some of your questions also. And a big thanks for you guys too for coming out and supporting Click Creatives. And I hope that you all have an amazing day.